Welcome everybody to Suzuka and the 49th Summer Endurance Race, the first Suzuka 1,000 kilometres since 2019. 99 drivers, 33 cars, 8 manufacturers and one amazing race coming up on Sunday that will last for 6.5 hours. It does of course count towards IGTC, but it is an amazing race in its own right. We're going to take a look now at as many of those 33 cars as possible, including, well indeed as well as, the 19 that are racing in Japan Cup. And we start with IGTC's championship leaders, BMW and Augusto Farfus. He leads teammate Kelvin van der Linde by 2 points at the top of the IGTC standings, while BMW are 14 clear of Porsche. WRT, who finished 1-2 at Bathurst, lead the line for Beamer this weekend. They also have a car run by KRC in the silver class. Right, on we go, and we're actually just going to cross the pit lane very quickly to look at a car that isn't in IGTC, but is going to be gunning for overall victory. It's the JMR Corvette, and it features, among factory talent Alexander Sims and Nicky Katzberg, Scott McLaughlin, multiple supercars champion turned IndyCar star. He makes his first IGTC appearance since 2018, but did race at Daytona with Corvette in the GT3 class. When was that? Back in January. Quick look at the first of the Porsches and the first of 4 Pro class Porsches. This is an interesting one because it has an AM on board. Adrian De Silva linking up with Harry King and Sven Muller. Now, if these guys get their drive time right, there is every chance that even with an AM in the car, EBM's Porsche could be a top 6, maybe even a podium contender on Sunday. Incidentally, the AMs have to do a minimum of 1 hour, so depending on how that works out with full course yellows and safety cars, you never know. We have seen it happen before with Kenny Abel in Bathurst. K-Tunes, a Japanese team that will be familiar to our Japan Cup fans, but they are swapping across to do IGTC and the Suzuka 1,000 kilometres this weekend. This car won the championship in Japan Cup last year. On we go, and another of the GT World Challenge Asia regulars. This is Porsche Center Okazaki. Those guys have been in the SRO environment for 6 or 7 years now. And then we come on to another of the powerhouse Asia teams. It's Phantom Global. And if you've been keeping an eye on our socials for the last few weeks, you will have seen some incredible Porsche liveries unveiled. And here are 2 of them, both, as I say, run by Phantom. The first of them features Nico Menzel, Adley Fong and Sun Jingzhu. They've obviously taken the Japanese cherry blossom theme and applied it to their 911. But on the other side of the garage, we've got one of the 3 Pro cars that feature historic Porsche liveries. This one is, of course, the Pink Pig that raced at Le Mans in 1971 and then was reprised and put on a 911 RSR in 2019, I think, when it won its class. Audi are not an IGTC manufacturer, but they do have one R8 in the race, again, thanks to Phantom. Just turn around, have another look. Here's a Ferrari that's racing in Japan Cup this weekend. That's the Up Garage 296. And then we come on to a team that is doing both Japan Cup and the Suzuka 1,000 kilometres. It is Ponos, and they have 2 296s at their disposal. They are, to all intents and purposes, identical, apart from the fact that the one racing in Suzuka 1,000 kilometres has the IGTC logo and a Ferrari banner, and the one doing Japan Cup has a Japan Cup banner. Kei Cozzolino and Yurikatsu Sujiko, they won at Okayama in Japan Cup a couple of weeks ago. They are also doing the 1,000 kilometres. A few drivers actually doubling up this weekend, and one car, which we'll get to, is actually doing both races. Here's the second of JMR's Corvettes. This one isn't going for overall victory, but does feature Johor Princes, Abu Bakar and Jeffrey Ibrahim. Right, onto another of the Japan Cup teams that is doing both 1,000 kilometres and the Japan Cup, and they, like Ponos, have 2 Ferraris. We'll stay out of the garage because it's pretty loud. You're looking at the Japan Cup entry, and this here is the IGTC point scoring car, and it features team owner Yusuke Maezawa, who is probably one of the most famous people in Japan. He went and visited the International Space Station in 2021 and broadcast it all over social media. Millions of social media followers and a real fan favourite in Japan Cup. I expect he'll have a few fans here this weekend as well. More amazing Porsche liveries next up, and they're both thanks to Absolute. You're looking here at the Pro car. Kevin Estre, Patrick Pilet, Laurens Thanthor, doesn't really get any faster than that. But it's really the livery that's the star of the show here. It's the Newman Porsche that won Le Mans in 1984 and 1985. As I say, one of 3 heritage livery for Porsche. And on the other side of Absolute's garage, we've got reigning IGTC Independent Cup champion Antares Au. We've seen versions of this livery before at Spa and Indy, I seem to think, last year. But this one, the detail that's gone into that bronze class car is quite incredible. We all love a GTR Nissan, don't we? And here's one of them that's racing in Japan Cup. That's the GT Net, but we do have 3 doing the 1,000 kilometers. We'll come on to those in a minute. Lovely to see the old 488 in Japan Cup. And here is the car that I mentioned earlier, the Nissan GTR, that is doing both the Suzuka 1,000 kilometers and the 2 1-hour Japan Cup races. It's entered in the AM class, and I can't remember who its drivers are, but I believe 2 of them are doing both 1,000 kilometers and Japan Cup. LM Corsa, regulars in GT World Challenge Asia, and this weekend featuring none other than F1 race winner Giancarlo Fisichella. What's next? I did tell you this was going to be a long pit lane preview. I'll tell you what's next. There's a couple of Japan Cup entries. Japan Cup is multi-class. They have both GT4 and GT3, and actually as well as that, GTC. So you're looking at the Toyota Supra, and there is a Mercedes there as well. And then on to yet another of the powerhouse Asia Porsche teams, Origin Motorsports. They've actually copied the design of their heritage livery, changed the colours and applied it to their bronze class car, but it's this one here that you're going to want to take a look at. This one absolutely blew up on social media when we posted it, I don't know, about 3 weeks ago now. This is the livery that won with Porsche at Suzuka 1,000 kilometers in 1981. It was the first time that a team from outside of Japan and drivers who weren't Japanese had won the 1,000 kilometers. You might have seen on social media just in the last couple of days a really nice piece that Porsche have done with Lauren Heinrich and Henri Pescarolo, who was one of those drivers who won here in 1981. Team KLC, very, very fast in GT World Challenge Asia. Their bronze crew, well, it's definitely going to be in contention for the bronze class, and it might even spring a surprise overall as well. Very, very capable team. As are GMR, who obviously we see regularly in IGTC and were winners here back in 2018. They've reprised the livery that raced at Bathurst, and they've got a pretty decent lineup as well in the shape of Grenier, Martin and Luca Stoltz. More Japan Cup entries here. There are so many Ferraris 296 GT3s in Japan, it is quite remarkable. That's the Uematsu car that won the AM class in Japan Cup, won the title last week. Porsche Cayman GT4. And another IGTC Porsche entry. This one features Ralph Bon, who is the joint Independent Cup Championship leader after he won at Spa. Herberth Motorsport, I should mention, running that car. Another Japan Cup Mercedes. And then yet another incredible livery. We really are spoilt for choice this weekend in Suzuka. And it is, of course, the Good Smile Racing Mercedes AMG with Hatsune Miku on the bonnet. As always, of course, I've seen several iterations of that livery down the years, including in 2018 and 19 when Good Smile raced here at, well, what was then actually the 10 hours, but it was still classified as the summer endurance race. Same driver lineup same driver lineup as well as 2018 and 19, as well as Spa 24 hours earlier this year. Taniguchi, Kataoka and Kobayashi. I'm going to say it again. I've got another incredible livery to show you. Harmony Racing's Ramen Rocket. I mean, what more is there to say? I suppose I could tell you it's racing in the silver class, and one of the favourites for that class, I suspect. Harmony are regulars in GT World Challenge Asia. Is an interesting one for you. AMAC. AMAC were came and raced with us here at Suzuka in 2018 and 2019, and they actually have the previous specification Porsche. This is the 991.2.1, I can't remember. It's the previous version. So a little bit different to all of the other Porsches you'll see here. Two cars for Craft Bamboo. They've got the Pro car that you're looking at over there. Gotts, Aaron, and a driver who's making his IGTC debut actually, Ota from Japan. And then we've got the Pro-Am car of Jonathan Hui, Kevin Z, and Ben Barnacote, interestingly. I'm not sure if he's raced a Mercedes before, but obviously Ben is contracted to another manufacturer. It wouldn't be IGTC without Kenny Abel and 75 Express, and of course, here it is, the classic Kenny Abel colours. Bronze class for Kenny this weekend. He is the joint championship leader in the IGTC Independent Cup with Ralph Bon. Another Japan Cup Porsche, and a little bit of GT4 as well for you in the shape of a Toyota Supra. Then we get to the heart of racing by SPS. Mercedes AMG is AMG. Ian James raced with us at Bathurst. You might remember earlier this year. Not long to go now, just a few cars left, and we're going to start with this one. It's the Volgas Motorsport Porsche. Now this car was absolutely wrecked in Okayama 10 days ago after a big start line accident in race 2. The team have done an incredible job to rebuild this. Obviously only had to get it here from Okayama, which isn't that far away in the grand scheme of things, but nevertheless, top work from Volgas. And here is the Nissan GTR that's got the best chance of all the GTRs in this year's race. Silver entry from Gojigen. You might read it as 5-Ziegen if you're from outside of Japan, but that actually translates as Gojigen. That's why they chose the 5, because it sounds racy, I suppose. Nordic Racing Ferrari, that one debuted at Okayama a couple of weeks ago, but won't be featuring in the 1,000 kilometres. This is GetSpeed's Mercedes AMG, and it's, well, I don't know if you can get down the side of it and have a look there, but it is a real stunner. Factory driver Philip Ellis on board that one. And then we get to, well, a couple of absolute crackers. Let's start with the Ferrari. This is Bingo Racing from Japan. They lead the Japan Cup overall standings, thanks to Uko Sasahara and Shinji Takei. This is the Ferrari they race in Japan Cup and will do this weekend. As I say, leading the championship, but there's about 6 contenders that can win that. They're also, though, going to be racing the Callaway Corvette, a car that we don't really see racing anywhere else anymore, certainly not at this level. And Bingo have been racing this car here since 2018. It's the same chassis. It has had a pretty big rebuild after a crash at Fuji a few years ago. But this is the new Transformers livery that the team have put on it just for this race. This one is undoubtedly going to be amongst the favourites, certainly amongst the fans, maybe not for victory, but undoubtedly a very popular car indeed. Thundering V8, amazing Transformers livery. What more could you ask for? I thought that was it. It's not. We've got 2 more to show you. Another Nissan GTR. This one is run by a team called Handwork Challenge, all Japanese effort, and it's running in the Pro class. Be very interested to see how the Nissan gets on. The Nissan was very competitive here in GT World Challenge Asia a couple of years ago. And then we also have, it is the Hitotsuyama Ferrari that races in Japan Cup. I don't know how many cars we just looked at, somewhere approaching 50 I would think, but an amazing entry list here, both for the Suzuka 1,000 kilometres and the Japan Cup, all of which you can watch live on J Sports if you're in Japan, but also, of course, GT World's YouTube channel if you're anywhere else in the world. Promises to be an amazing weekend. Do join us.